Hey guys, just a quick note before we get started. Normally we record these episodes together in the same room, the same mics, the same interface, but because of everything that's been going on with the coronavirus, obviously we had to record remotely. So you're going to get some different sounds from each participant. Some of us were using different mics and we're in different types of rooms. So we'd like for you to just bear with us during this time. The audio won't sound exactly the same as you're used to hearing it, but we did our best to make sure we cleaned it up. We hope you guys are staying safe, staying indoors. Together, we're definitely going to beat this. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 7 of the Liner Details podcast. It has been some months. Really glad to be back with our first quarantine edition of the show. Got a few guests with me today. As well, I guess I should say before I get started, I'm your host, Wes. I'm also joined by John McNeil. John, how you doing, man?
Yo, how are y'all?
Also joined by John Smythe. Smythe, how you doing, bro?
I'm well, and I'm not sick.
Good. Pudge, what's good?
I'm good, bro. How's everything?
I'm good. Good to have you guys on. And also, Zari, what's good, man? How you doing?
Not much, man. Just, enjoying the indoors.
Yeah. I don't think I want to enjoy the indoors this much, man. I'm low key kind of starting to feel the effects of this is my 13th day in the house. I've only been outside the house one time since last Wednesday. Or 2 Wednesdays ago. So yeah. So it's starting to get to your boy a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But thankfully everybody's safe, everybody's doing well. We've all been fortunate not to be sick. None of our families are sick or anything like that, but crazy times right now, man. We just send out our prayers and thoughts to everybody that's, going through this time, and, definitely hope that everybody's paying attention to all the warnings and staying at the crib, keeping your distance from people, especially those that are the most vulnerable, those that are a little older and those who are immunocompromised. We want to get through this thing with the least amount of complications as possible. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, we've been on a hiatus for a little bit. We had to take a break for, I guess, about 3 months now. Had some internal stuff going on, some new things happening, which we'll definitely be able to talk about a few episodes from now. But yeah, man, we revved the content machine back up this week. So it's going to be some IG posts, some YouTube videos, more podcasts, the whole nine, back to the way we normally did things. So I guess we can get into the first topic, man. What do you guys have been listening to? I know from reports, streaming numbers are down. Music streaming numbers are way down. Seems like people are listening to less music right now. I think I might be the opposite because I'm actually listening to way more music, being quarantined here in the home office. So what have you guys been listening to?
Who wants to go first?
Right?
I'll go first.
Go for it, Mike.
I know we're going to talk about this later, but Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it now. I'm calling it a classic. I wish we had like air horns for this podcast, because I would definitely hit the air horn soundbite.
And I hit you with the Price is Right. Boom, 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 because that joint been out for 5 minutes. You need to calm down.
No, listen. And if you know me, I would never, ever, ever say that something is a classic.
That's true.
I never do that, but this is very special. And I'm a little bit I'm not on the hype train, but there's a little bit of personal hype because I do like Donald Glover.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, yeah, I felt a range of emotions while listening to it. The mix is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like this album is pretty much just everything that I've wanted from music for a while that I just haven't gotten since. I mean, even Damn didn't really give me the same feeling. Damn was a great album. I think Damn is a classic too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this album across the board, from topically what he's talking about to the sound of it and his vocal performances and just the range of sounds.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a classic to me. So yeah, I mean, we'll get into that later, you know.
For sure. I mean, you're definitely, in your defense, you're not the only one saying that.
Right. Very true.
Surely, like a lot of people are going right to there. I mean, we'll talk about it later. It was good. I like it.
I mean, we could technically talk about it now if y'all want. Like, we might as well go ahead, since that definitely was an album that the majority of us listened to. Everybody listened to that, right? So far?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I do have a record, though, I was listening to. Just throw it in the pot before we do talk about
yeah, go ahead.
Childish. Man Alive by King Kool has been on repeat for me. Man, different, man. I don't know if y'all are familiar with King Kool, British artist.
Mm-hmm.
Dude is different, man. I mean, oh yeah, I think you were around, Wes, when we were kind of just watching some of his vids.
Yep.
The visuals are crazy. It's like an interesting, what would you say? It's like a mix between like punk, jazz, trip hop, like
lo-fi.
Lo-fi, real like just dark, hazy type stuff. But it's an interesting approach, man. He has, but you hear like all of it. You hear the soul, you hear like his jazz background, but like a real heavy like punk influence.
Mm-hmm.
Just as far as aesthetic too and approach. But yeah, just a very dope artist, man. It's interesting. I don't know why, but on one of the his last records in the synopsis on iTunes, it talked about how he turned down working with Kanye.
Really?
Yeah, it is like, because it's weird, because like obviously if Kanye's reaching out to you, like we all know, like he's dope at curating and bringing together dope artists, and this guy has been getting a lot of acclaim from different artists, King Kool, like at a young age, and apparently he turned down working with Kanye a while ago, and it was based around just him just kind of wanting to form his own kind of I guess what some people are getting at is like, hey, he might not be one of the artists that wants to be considered being broke in by Kanye. Yeah. So yeah, man, I've been enjoying it. Really, really dope records on there. Was
it in 2018 that he turned this down?
I think so. Around 2018.
That makes me so angry, because I don't know. I have some mixed feelings about that, just because you know, a lot of people just turned their back on him a couple years ago. It was around this time. I think what the TMZ interview was, like May, April, something like that. A lot of people.
Oh yeah, I see the timeline you're talking about. I gotta double check if it was that timeline. It seemed like it was even farther back than that, though.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
from what I've seen, but
not as much of a reason, but still. I mean, Kanye's been doing stuff like this for a hot minute. But
for sure, yeah, for sure.
I know people felt a little dumb by like January, was it 2019, when he first did Sunday Service? Because then it's like, oh, okay, now he's back in everyone's good graces,
right?
Which pissed me off a little bit, but you know, that's how we are as
I will say, I did see a lot of people keeping the same energy though when Sunday Service came out. I will say that I was actually kind of surprised by that. Yeah, I actually applaud King Kool for not doing that, mainly because what I don't want is for Kanye to try to adopt that style, because that's also kind of a thing that tends to happen with Kanye, is like when he brings somebody on, he has amazing, impeccable taste, so you can't even like discredit him for that. But I think a lot of the problem is like he'll bring somebody on and that person will influence him so much that he starts to kind of sound like that person. Like I remember when 808s came out, and just like you could smell Kid Cudi through the speakers, on the album, and it's brilliant. It's a brilliant album. I mean, obviously, if you want to talk about classics, I mean that's a classic album, but the fact that it's like, you know, I don't know. I guess it is part of Kanye's genius in being a curator and having a good ear and eye. But I'm actually kind of glad he didn't do it, to be honest with you. Yeah. What about you, Pudge?
So recently, I checked out Justin Bieber's album, and really wanted to kind of hear. You know, I was kind of intrigued by the title, honestly. Changes, because I know, you know, he kind of took a little hiatus for a little bit, you know, in the middle of his world tour, maybe a few years ago, and then to see, you know, where he was now, because I know we saw him doing quote unquote, I guess, praise and worship at Coachella,
Right.
So, he's been kind of doing some of those things, around, and he's hasn't been hiding his face or anything like that. But I wanted to just check out his music, see what direction he's going. And I will have to say that I was pretty impressed. I was impressed by his growth. You can definitely tell he's in love. That's for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But here's a guy who kind of made his career off of the bachelor life, in a sense. He's kind of been a bachelor, not like Playboy to a certain extent, but I think that hiatus kind of allowed him, get grounded, So a few songs in there, I really liked was the one with Quavo, Intentions, and some other stuff on there. But I like the mood of it. I mean, it's really, really good for driving. I listened to it while I was driving to the airport, and it was a real cool album. It was a little different than what I was used to. But I like the work that Pooh Bear did on there and stuff like that. So pretty much that's kind of what I've been listening to and trying to dissect it a little bit. I was a little late to the Post Malone party. So I kind of...
I've loved Post Malone from the beginning,
yeah,
bro.
so I kind of got into the album, maybe I want to say top of this year, actually January. And, if you can bring Travis Scott and Ozzy Osbourne together... Yeah, so that's kind of really been the two albums that I've been kind of like digging into and getting inspired here at the house, especially being quarantined there, trying to match some sounds and kind of take a different direction. So that's where I've been at.
Got you. Yeah, I was one of the few people that felt like Post Malone wasn't getting his flowers. People were, real heavy with the gentrification tag on him.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like he was one of the few guys that was a little bit mischaracterized when it came to that, because I just felt like he actually had genuine talent. I hate when a lot of those artists kind of come over to rap or R&B and they're just not talented at all.
Yeah.
And then but he's always been talented. Obviously I'm going to get some comments from that, especially from Smythe. Smythe doesn't like me.
Yeah, because no. I'll say this. Post Malone, I remember one time, like a few months ago, on Facebook, I was like, yo, I don't know one person who's a Post Malone fan. And a few people I went to school with at Cherry Hill West, I'm going to just say that. They were like, I'm a Post Malone fan. I'm a Post Malone fan. I was like, all right, I stand corrected. So, I mean, I'm personally.
He's definitely talented, and he actually has like a background in music. He's able to play multiple instruments, and his creative side just like it flourishes like when he creates a track, and you can see that he actually puts in the work to put out good content for everybody. It's not like he's just like putting out trash. Like it actually sounds good. And it's something that you can consider like you can literally vibe to and just like listen to.
Right. The one thing that I kind of always have like a husky judge about when looking at artists is how great their pop sensibilities are. Dude has amazing pop sensibilities.
Agreed.
Like that joint is just mad natural.
Yeah.
And man,
true.
he's definitely one of the guys that, I mean, obviously nobody's sleeping on him. He's top 10 artists probably out right now, top 10, 20 artists. So
I would say one thing that I really enjoyed about Post album, the first time I listened to it, I didn't even know who it was. I was in LA. I was literally in LA and was at Monty's Burgers, like the vegan spot. And I heard the song playing. I was like, man, this is crazy. So the guy I was with was like, yo, this is Post album. He said it's kind of crazy that they're playing his whole album here. You know what I mean? Because I was just, first of all, I just wasn't, I was subconsciously listening to it initially. Then I sat down and was listening. I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. And I want to say I heard the song with SZA on there. And I was like, wow. I thought it was great. I thought, I went back to listen to it, and nowadays it's tough to listen to an album from top to bottom, so when I listened to it, I didn't really hear initially anything that I felt like was a skip over.
Right.
So I thought, to me, that made a good body, but I would have to agree with you, Wes. I think his popability is extremely on point, especially for the culture where music is now, and it still has, crossover written all over, obviously. So,
for sure,
that's the worst part about it.
We say Smythe.
I said that's the worst part about it, is that he's crossing over.
You like niche, like that's your thing. Like you like guys to be in a box in the corner.
Like, yeah, this is true.
Oh man.
What about you, El? What you been listening to, man?
I'm listening to a couple different things. I know we had that convo in Slack where everybody was like sharing playlists and stuff like that, and someone shared a playlist that had an artist that her name is Astrid Gilberto. So after listening to her, it made me start listening to like more Brazilian samba music, and finding playlists in that genre. But then also another group that I discovered a couple weeks ago. I think don't hold me to this. I may be pronouncing their name incorrectly, but it's a group of 3 people, and they're called Choquib Town.
Okay.
They're Colombian. It's a Colombian hip hop group, and they do a lot more like reggaeton type of music than they do anything else. But it was it was refreshing to hear something else, something different.
Right.
So those 2 artists I've been listening to a lot as of late, as well as Childish Gambino.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good. I think that might be a good place for us to segue into the Childish Gambino album, 3:15:20, was one of our main discussions for the day. So I guess we could kind of just segue right into that. Well, I guess before that, I should say I've been listening to a lot of gospel records lately, just because I've been silently working on a beat tape with my mans. So, but anyway, so new Childish Gambino album, 3:15:20. I was one of the few people that didn't get a chance to listen to it the first time around when it was just on the website. Mainly because I was being difficult, and I was like, I'm not about to sit here and listen to this on the website. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know. I assumed that it was going to come out on streaming services within the week, and that's exactly what happened. As a matter of fact, the funny thing is, Smythe actually shared the fact that the album was out to us first, and then I was the one that shared to him that it was on the DSPs like 4 days later, which is kind of funny.
Flipped out.
Yeah, Smythe is the one that gave me the link. He had the full stream link.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about that.
I know, right?
It's illegal.
I was like, yo, don't tell nobody. He gave me the link, and then it came out on DSPs soon after.
Man, well, first of all, let me say it sounds like Smythe produced several of these tracks on this album.
That's why you like it so much.
Exactly. This man is like, yo, this joint is a classic.
Wow, I take that as a compliment.
Man, listen, just like going through it and listening to it, and you know how Smythe likes to post some demos in his stories and stuff like that at times, and I was like, bro, that sounds like Smythe produced that.
Yeah,
bro, that sounds like Smythe produced that. Wow, that really sounds like Smythe produced that one too. It was crazy.
Cat's out the bag.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Tell them they should have called you, man.
Facts.
Cat's out the bag. I was ghost producing the whole time. Gotcha.
Something else that I also got from it too was it was giving me a vibe where like Donald Glover is just like so widespread as far as like creativity and what he can put it in an album or a track or whatever and just put out there and people just gravitate to it. But it gave me a vibe like this could also be like a soundtrack for a movie. So I'm thinking in my mind, I was like, wow, what if Donald Glover and Kendrick Lamar actually meshed up and did like Black Panther 2 soundtrack? Like, what would that sound like? Or if Donald Glover just did the soundtrack on his own.
I don't know if they're the same type of artist though. Like I
not
think
the
that,
same type of artist, but like I don't know. Like if you heard what Kendrick did with like Black Panther, the soundtrack, the first one, it was like kind of like not in the same vibes, but it was like almost like it gave you that feeling like that could actually be put in a certain scene for Black Panther. And that's like what I was getting for like the Childish Gambino album. Like some of those songs, I was like, wow, that would actually be cool, like dope for this kind of scene or that kind of scene or something like that.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I think just on the scope of like artistry though, they're so different. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that I think Donald Glover is what you call like an artist. Like he's just an artist. Like you can't box him in.
Facts.
And I think that's what makes him so great. But yeah, Kendrick
can we box in Kendrick though?
I mean,
Nope.
Right now we have to.
I don't think we can box him in. Like he brings like different things to the table. Like there's rap, but then there's also like it's a different type.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I mean you're right. I mean this is not to disparage Kendrick, obviously, guys. You already know. Like to me, Kendrick is in the music scene. I mean, he's top 3 in my opinion right now.
He's the greatest of all time.
So, yeah, that's not to disparage him, but I just think that Donald Glover is so much on a different plane. We talked about this. I think me and John talked about this on one of our other podcast episodes when we were just saying how he's really he's kind of like a newer and improved version of Jamie Foxx. You know what I'm saying? He's like the Jamie Foxx of the new generation. So where he can pretty much do anything that he wants to do. He can act, he can direct, he can produce.
That is true.
Yeah.
You know.
That is true.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. And that's why I said it's from an artistry standpoint, I think it's just a little bit different, but
Oh yeah.
But,
no, it's definitely different. But I feel like, like if those two actually were able to come together, I think it would actually sound pretty dope.
Right. Do you think that this album is going to be one of those albums that ends up getting stuck in our memories because of the timing of like when it came out? It seemed like he had, because I think the first 3 tracks actually had names, and it seemed like the rest of the tracks were just timestamps. So I was actually wondering, was maybe this like a bunch of demos? Because if it's a bunch of demos, they sound amazing.
It's probably calculated knowing him.
Yeah. But do you guys think that this is kind of going to take the same? It's going to have the same type of legs that like the Blueprint did, because the Blueprint came out on 9/11, and we kind of remember the Blueprint because it came. And I mean, the album is amazing, but the fact that joint came out on such a terrible day,
got tied to history. Got tied to history for sure.
Well, that's kind of like that's kind of like what the conversation we had, Wes, about Soul Federation and about how certain sneakers like the Flu Game, they're tied to events,
right?
So we're always gonna remember. Like now, I think the difference is, and y'all can crucify me a little bit for this, but some of those Jordans are kind of like highly overrated.
Oh my gosh.
No, seriously, like and this is opinion. I'm very opinion based.
Very.
Yeah, but like, the Flu Games are great. They look good, but they're great because of what happened around it, where this album is actually great. And like it's now, like you said, it's tied to history.
Right.
Like,
well, I mean, that's why I was comparing it to the Blueprint. I mean, the Blueprint is, you could play Blueprint front to back.
Yeah.
Facts.
Still today.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
For sure.
Yeah.
So like production wise, what were you guys feeling? Because I kind of felt like stylistically this was technically all over the place.
Well, you know what? To me, and some other folks have mentioned this in some blogs, but I felt like this album was the culminating sound of Childish Gambino, what we've heard from beginning to end.
Facts.
You heard basically everything you've heard from all of his albums were in here. Like he kind of put it all together. And I don't know if that was like strategically, like his final form kind of thing or whatever, or, because I know there was like rumors of saying this would be the last time he'll use the moniker Childish Gambino. Right. So I don't know if this is like him dropping the mic kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, I liked it sonically because I was wondering where he was going to go, especially after Awaken My Love, with it being just straight nostalgic, kind of a soul riot, straight soul music. I was like, man, where is he going to go from here? Is he going to go back to this? Is he going to go back to because of the internet, which we all kind of grew to like him for. But I'm glad he kind of fused those two pieces because people liked him for both things. Because I actually did like Awaken My Love a lot, more than others, I think. But
more than me.
Yeah, more than you.
Yeah.
I would almost say, almost in the sense of this record, because this record's still growing on me. I think it is going to be a classic. I think it's dope. But I don't like it as much as Awaken My Love. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but I just maybe I'll give it some time. Yeah, maybe I'll give it some
Not
time
to me.
to see what happens.
I need a little more time with the album as well because Awaken My Love was just like so crazy front to back that you could just like let it play. This one I'm probably gonna need a little more time because I'm still stuck on Awaken My Love.
Yeah, and I also think it's kind of hard to get in certain moods right now because of what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So that's probably definitely like a really big contributor in my opinion. Like it's, I don't, and that's where, you know, for me, it's hard to dub something as a classic like that fast. You know what I'm saying? For me personally, you know, but I don't know, man. Like when the album has it, it just has it, I guess. Right, Smythe?
Right.
Yeah. I feel like it's a classic. That was one of those like feelings, like, you know, you feel like you're listening to something huge, you know?
Right.
I also wanted to make a note. I don't know if he was on the last album, but DJ Dahi, who's worked with Kendrick on Good Kid, Mad City, and Damn. I think Good Kid, Mad City was like the first one. That was like around the time he came around. But he's on like pretty much every track. And along with Ludwig Göransson, I think I'm mispronouncing his name.
Yeah, but, you're pretty close, I think.
yeah. But you know, Ludwig Göransson, he does a lot of soundtrack stuff, and you know, Kendrick, Donald Glover, his albums always have a cinematic kind of feel to me.
Very true.
Especially because The Internet, which was accompanied by a film. But I think that's the thing that I can appreciate about this album, 3:15:20, because The Internet, while I love it, it was a little long and it was a little too left. Like it was way left. Too much to be enjoyed front to back the way this album can. And to me, the format of Awaken My Love was better than Because The Internet, but I just wasn't feeling the you know, Parliament vibes.
All right, so yeah, man, it was, you know, pretty great album. I guess we can hop right to the next thing, I guess, right, guys? So
sure.
Really, really huge thing that happened. Kind of felt like it was one of those cultural nuclear explosions. DJ D-Nice live on Instagram Live for like, in essence, what felt like 3 days. Mans was being a true DJ. I think the one session was like 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Which is, I saw some people complaining about it. Like I saw somebody saying like, you know, it was corny because he was playing all like well-known stuff. And it's just like, I mean, we want to play deep cuts for like the whole world is watching? He got 100,000 people on this on this thing.
Yo,
You want to play
complain
some,
about
like some
anything.
deep cuts that nobody's ever heard of? You can't do that.
Man, listen, you
know what I'm
can't
saying?
please everybody, man.
Facts. If you play all beat, because I'm like, why don't you play something that people know?
Facts.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Yeah,
gonna complain.
Yeah.
I can't stand people.
So did you guys get a chance to peek in? I got a
Yep.
chance to listen to for like about half hour to one night.
I saw a
And,
couple of them. There were like several different sessions, and seemed like it was one with the you know, the three knit button up black shirt that he had on with the hat and the glasses, and another one where he had like a jean jacket and he kept like, you know, shouting out Kyrie Irving for his birthday or something like
No,
that.
all that stuff was like on the same day. He kept
Good
changing
God.
his clothes. He was changing his clothes in the sets, changing hats.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing the 8 hour set, man, like what else is there to do? You stuck in the crib?
bruh.
You're like, I'm finna get these fits off. Like, look, what if that was D-Nice's whole thing? He was like, yo, I can't leave the crib. I got all these new clothes. I'm finna get
That's
these
hilarious.
fits off for everybody.
That's hilarious.
Yo, did you see the view in his house?
Yeah,
That was amazing. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Because I mean, listen, like think about it. Why do we buy clothes? We buy clothes to show them off.
Hey,
I'm gonna tell you right now, I done worn the black pair of shorts or a gray pair of shorts and a black t-shirt for 2 weeks straight. I have not dressed up at all. At least I've like cut my hair and kind of like, you know what I'm saying, kept myself decent. But
I mean, at least you could do that. Some of us don't have that ability.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
the
in a
one
dashiki
time
right
I'm
now.
kind of grateful to be bald, yo. Like, to be honest.
Yeah.
You and
Cherish
Cuz living it up right now.
Exactly. So I think that the D-Nice, the quarantine DJ set kind of goes hand in hand with one of our last main topics for today, which is us kind of just talking about artists and producers dealing with the pandemic, that's going on right now. And maybe some of the solutions and things that artists and producers can do right now to either just pass the time, to remain creative, or, obviously you go through something like this and I don't know if you guys saw, but Bandcamp basically released like 100% of the funds that everybody made last Friday to the artists. So normally how Bandcamp works is, they basically work as a distributor where they get a percentage off the top for every sale that you get. And last Friday, they showed some serious love by basically allowing all of their artists to get 100% of their sales for that day, which is a really good
crazy
look.
love.
So what that did was that allowed artists and producers to basically go to their fan bases and say, hey, listen, if you were actually like thinking about buying something from me, like this would be like the perfect day to do it because I actually get 100% of the proceeds. It could really, really help me out. And so I've been staying pretty close to like NPR. I think Complex has been doing an even better job of covering music lately. Obviously, I mean, what else can you do? But you're seeing like a lot of acts and groups like really struggling already. Like, and it's only been what, 3 weeks basically since this really has started in America. I guess I could even volley this over to John because, John was actually, now John's not struggling, but John was actually supposed to be on tour for a couple spot dates last week and he ended up not being able to go. So, you got to think like, how is this affecting, like a group that John tours with?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you look at the stats, even with streaming, we're so far in the future now of like streaming and record sales. But at the end of the day, 70% of artists' income is still merch and tours. Pudge knows it. We all know it's still, and I don't think that's really going to change, honestly. I mean, it's still, it's probably going to even go crazier because of the splits becoming a little bit less favorable sometimes for artists and producers. They got to get their money, in the actual shows. But I was supposed to fly to Seattle. Obviously, that was a hot spot. So that was already kind of crazy. I was supposed to go there, do a live recording, and then work in the studio, work on records. And yeah, I mean, basically that group, they had to can that whole thing, but they actually came up with an idea to create sample packs, interesting enough, to sell of their stuff to kind of release the hype a little bit around a project that was already out. So they sold kind of like stems of the actual project, and their fan base and artists are actually really into the musicality of it. So it kind of worked. And that was like one way I saw just the repurposing of content, which I think a lot of artists can capitalize on right now, and some are, even with like their Patreons and different things like that, driving people to, basically reaching out to the fans who really do support them. Yep. And in this time, those fans will come through, man. If you have a loyal fan base, I think they will definitely, try to support and take care of you, especially with like, I saw like Hiatus Coyote, Nipalm, she did like a live session for Patreon supporters, and I see a lot of artists doing that too. And yeah, man, there's ways around it. It's tough, especially if your main, like I said, the main source of income is tour and merch. It's time to get a little creative, and a lot of it is around repurposing content, honestly.
Right. I think the thing that I'm most excited about is I really hope that this is pushing producers and artists. I should say artists really more first than producers, because producers tend to be in the crib anyway, or in the studio kind of unseen. But I really hope that this is really causing artists to really understand how many things that they really left on the table, going all the way up till now. So, like I remember when we first, probably like the second year Soul Surplus was like, really kind of gaining momentum, the beginning of 2018, we would have live sessions over at John and Joel's. And that was stuff like that people just didn't do back then. There wasn't, and the funny thing is, I remember John and I even having a conversation back then, like, yo, do you think this is something that we should kind of monetize? Because in essence what we were doing. And Smythe was actually part of one of those live sessions as well, if I remember correctly. So
a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, you sit down, you create, I think we created three melodic, or actually those might have been 3 compositions technically, in like a 2-hour session, and then we actually released the stems to folks, and basically it kind of used it as like a cross promotional thing. But it's crazy because like now that's the type of stuff that everybody kind of has to do. And so I really do hope that, through all this, that people kind of realize that, maybe they haven't been thinking about smart ways to engage their audiences up until this point, and this just continues, because it really honestly shouldn't stop after this is over. This is just something that should have already been happening anyway. And I'm talking, and not just in the indies, I'm talking about major artists. Like there's no reason why somebody who has over 1 million followers doesn't have, in essence, like a content / transmission studio built into their crib where they can do, like, there's no reason why a rapper literally can't have a stage in his crib with multiple camera angles and do a show, because there's somebody there that can do professional sound. And once it goes out, I mean, if you're watching this through your television, especially, and if that joint is hooked up to your sound bar or your sound system, if you're like me, that thing is gonna come through sounding real good. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So
totally agree. Being a musician, this has been an interesting time because, one of my mentors always says, the future belongs to those who see it first. And the one thing that's crazy about the statement is that most things that we do now were once an idea. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much everything that we do now was an idea, of something that was temporary. It was an idea of something that's like, well, I'm not really sure, how we can kind of make this flesh. But however, there are a lot of companies, who may not have saw the pandemic, but saw the way the future was going. So, Zoom, GoToMeeting, these are people who were like, you know what? The world is more mobile than it was, what I'm saying, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, so now they're being able to reap, certain benefits because of a pandemic such as, this. I will say, Rock Nation, released, and I think it was like the Billboard magazine, that they canceled all the shows and stuff like that. And I agree 100% with you, Wes. If Prince was alive right now, he would have already did like 5 concerts. Like at Paisley Park, he had everything, literally backline for days, stage, he had everything, because the essence of what he was doing was that I'm trying to do something that's bigger than myself. You know what I mean? And whenever you're doing something like that, it's tough because you still have to rely on others, to kind of pull that off. But what he did was smart, was he created the space. Zoom didn't create the internet. They just created the platform. Right. You know what I'm saying? To be able to monopolize it, So I feel like, companies like, Xfinity and stuff like that, they may be hurting in like customer service area, where they kind of can't get people to come out and, fix stuff like that. But I think this time, what my prayer is, honestly, is that in this time, we'll all figure out, the true values that's inside of us and the true essence of the gems that are inside of us. Because so often we wait, as musicians, we wait, for Childish Gambino's album to be done, and then we get the call to go on tour. You know what I'm saying? So you're always in a waiting game. But I feel like what this process does is it eliminates us ever going back to the way things were prior to March 2020. Like this is not just something where it's about a virus. Like the virus will be done, but people are going to wake up and say, you know what? Never again. And me and Wes, we talk about this, how the league always kind of changes things up. Like after Allen Iverson had the long 5X white tees, the league was like, okay, they saw who had the influence. Allen Iverson didn't create the NBA. He used the platform, you know what I mean? And now to this day, you got people with tattoos and, you know what I'm saying? They still wear their baggy tees every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? It's a throwback. But they knew, like, okay, in order for us to get in front of this, we got to control this. So you can still be you, but in the confines of a sports code. You know what I'm saying? So they wanted to kind of tie it down, you know what I mean? But they saw a future that would clearly get out of hand, because you got to think, Bill Russell didn't have braids and tattoos. Larry Bird didn't have a do-rag. You know what I'm saying? So they saw that the league was growing to a more pop culture thing. And you can even tell by how they used to do the drafting process. You know, the draft wasn't a big deal. A lot of players never even went. You know, it was like this little thing where they had coffee mugs and, you know, they would drink tea and sit around a table. You know what I mean? But like, who do you think we should take? I heard it's a kid in, you know, North Carolina or Texas A&M. So to see the way that has evolved, now you can't imagine not airing a draft. You know what I'm saying? You can't imagine the NFL not airing, you know what I mean, a draft. So there's still ways that we can still grow in this. And I think that at any time that you can kind of look at it as adversity is an opportunity for you to grow. You know what I mean? And to be able to expand. And the one thing that I have been very, very impressed with Soul Surplus is just simply the fact that they saw not this, you know what I mean? but to a certain extent, an ability to be able to connect people without physically having to be inside of their houses and downloading stuff, sounds and stuff from a drive. You know, so to be able to create a platform, you know, like, you know, yourself and John and Joel have basically kind of built, you know, to the point where we can still be relevant in a time where people are searching on how to be relevant. Like, okay, I'm used to, you know, putting out this, or I'm used to being out here doing this. How can I be effective now? And I think that this time has really kind of brought us to a point in life where we can kind of press the pause button, you know what I mean? And just say, who am I? What am I able to do without venues? You know what I'm saying? And crowds and different things like that. Maybe this is the time to write the book. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this is I don't know. You know what I mean? But I definitely think this is the time, like you had said, you know, this is not even like, you know, a month old, you know what I mean, as far as the States is concerned. You know, but you got companies really trying to figure this whole thing out. And I think, you know, like you said, producers, you know, we're kind of used to being in a space, you know, for a significant amount of time. We kind of forget, you know, if it's dark outside, if it's light outside, you know, just kind of something you just kind of submerge in, and then you kind of lift your head up to grab some water briefly or whatever like that. But I think that for the rest of the world who's trying to figure this out, because you have to think, the generation that's going to be most affected by this are not so much us, you know, it's our kids. You know, because high school graduations are canceled. We talking about high school, you know, we can remember high school, college graduations and those things. You know, there's no NCAA tournament this year, you know, which is very, very intricate. It's a very intricate part for raising your draft stock. You know what I'm saying? Not many people knew who Steph Curry was, you know?
Not until the tournament.
In that tournament, he got in that tournament and started, you know, frying people. It changes the element of what happened. So now you got to figure out these guys who are at these smaller schools who are like, man, we was praying for the conference championship. You know what I mean? To get a Cinderella sweep, you know, a Cinderella opportunity to get in the league. I mean, into the tournament. So it changes now how you prepare for the draft. College coaches, you know, so this is a situation that is changing the world. The ways of the world is changing, not just music. You know what I mean? Education is changing. You know, for our kids who are still in school and stuff like that, it's an opener, you know, for something that's great. And I think that will become greater because of it. That's my personal.
John, you want to say something?
Cue the air horn. Good Lord.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because, you know, you have like, I remember having conversations with people about, you know, having various forms of content. So, you know, while Instagram is great, you only get 60 seconds to basically convey your point. And so it's it's good to use it, but it shouldn't really be your own thing. So, you know, we were able to do I think either 2 or 3 long form versions of The Office at the end of last year. And because right now people need long form content, that's literally what they're searching for. So this is just one of those things where it's like, you know, if you find out, if you see that a trend is going in a particular way, don't snub it because like you don't think you have the access to it. The veil has been removed right now. Like there is no, this is the Wizard of Oz, like in human form. We're seeing it right now. Like if you turn on NBA TV, literally the dudes that are hosting are doing the same thing we're doing right now. They are literally at the crib with headphones on and a mic talking to Zoom, and then they're using that footage and that audio for television. So there is no excuse, yo. Like the veil has been rent, yo. I don't care what anybody says. It really has shown. It should show people that all of this is phony. You know what I'm saying? To make it seem like that people don't have the power. Right now, people have all the power.
Yes, they do.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, they do.
So, you know, producers, listen, if you're making some beats, film that session while you making some beats. Take that footage, maybe doctor up the background or the border or something like that to make it nice. Put that thing on YouTube. I don't care if it's 2 hours long. Somebody is going to sit there and watch it. Now all of a sudden you've created your own brand new channel, your own brand new content, stuff that you've done on your own. This is literally the time to take advantage, man.
I'll say this.
I'll say one more. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Do your thing.
But I will say this. Last January, Wes, when you called me, you said the same exact thing. You said Instagram is great, you know what I mean? But it doesn't bring anything else to you. You get viewership, you know what I mean? You can possibly get some sponsors or something like that. But for the most part, if that site goes down, people have no other way to get in contact with you.
Right.
And I remember that. I remember that. And here we are now. You know what I'm saying? Where content is king. You know what I'm saying? So to say that a year ago and some change, is kind of crazy, to be where we are now.
For sure. Smythe, what you got to say about all this? Because I know you're somewhat like a homebody, and this is probably the perfect time for you to kind of maybe start something that really digs into some of your, specific niches and how you do what you do. Because I was thinking, man, we need to go ahead and have a show where Smythe is just talking about his warm audio plugin for a half hour straight. I'm not joking. I'm being dead serious.
No, I'm laughing because I'm literally I'm using warm audio right now. So my first thought is, I see on Facebook, I'm a part of this infamous group of musicians on Facebook called the Black Surfers Realm.
I know it's probably the worst place on the internet, isn't it?
No comment.
It's world. It's all right. No, I'm okay.
I'm not saying you're bad. I'm just talking.
Oh, listen, I'm not taking offense at all. Trust me. There's good things about it. It can kind of become the world star for musicians in a way.
Oh my god.
But anyway, I bring that up to say there's been sort of this attitude of like, oh, look at you musicians now, like, oh, you guys are saying, or looking down on people who have 9-to-5s. And then like, there's just this whole kind of like snarky kind of thing. But I think I'm kind of down the middle where, for some people it is a reality. Like you gotta find a way to make money now. Like you gotta do something, because that's just some people's reality. Like they're in that entertainment business where they're doing gigs. That's how they make money.
Right. And
on the other hand, it's like, while I do feel bad, you kind of gotta do what you gotta do. Like this is a good lesson to be preemptive, and not only just be preemptive, but like you said, is preemptive the right word?
No, you're right. Preemptive.
Okay, I learned that word from Star Wars Battlefront. Preemptive strike.
Like old, and not Battlefront 2, like old
The first
Battlefront on like Nintendo 64.
Okay,
Man.
obviously exaggerating because Battlefront was on the best gaming platform of all time, PS2. Anyway,
Jeez.
yeah. So yeah, that I was thinking about that as far as musicians, because I kind of feel like I'm in the kind of like at a middle point, like crossing over from just being a musician to now, like what is the end point? Like what's the biggest thing that we can be? If you're a musician, like you're not just what you do, like you gotta create something bigger. Right. Like Pudge was saying about Prince, everything he did from the movie to the Batman soundtrack, to building Paisley Park, it was bigger than him. Right. And my other thought, yeah, you're right. I do need to talk about warm audio. And I say that in a joking way. But yeah, it is time. I actually realized yesterday when we were creating some of the content, and I saw how easy it was and just how valuable some of the things I was saying. Like, I created some content based around like some of the packs we were doing, and I thought about it. I'm like, yo, I'm giving away a lot of game right now.
Yeah,
like a lot of,
and I'm gonna edit out probably like 70% of it just to give you the heads up.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. but for real, like I'm like, yo, I kind of have a lot to offer, you know. So I'm thinking about it sort of in like a very personal way,
right?
But yeah, it really is time. You know, I feel like a lot of musicians who have a lot to offer, for some reason, they kind of like keep everything in. You know, there's certain things like people say, you know, oh, I don't want to give away my secrets, or, you know, we're just kind of like introverts in a way. We don't want to put ourselves out there.
Right.
But, you know, that really has to die.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, those are my thoughts. And then, obviously just in a more general way, learning to kind of take this whole thing a little bit more seriously, just based on what's happening in the world.
Right.
I want to say rest in peace to Manu Dibango, who died. I think he died today or last night. He was an African saxophonist who is probably most well known for the song Soul Makossa, which is where Michael Jackson got the ending of what is that song? Want to Be Starting Something, where he goes,
right. Mama say, Mama sa.
Mama say, Mama sa, Maku sa.
Oh, wow.
That was actually Manu Dibango with the song Soul Makossa. So yeah, it kind of got pretty real for me this morning to see that, you know, someone who I've been listening to for a long time was taken by this, you know, this virus. So
right.
Yeah, I think just in general, taking it more seriously, and then, you know, being wise about the time and the resources that we have to make the most of it, you know?
Yep. We definitely have, and I guess we can probably end this episode on this, but we stumbled into it's now responsibility time, basically, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, Soul Surplus creates products that we make a profit off of. Everybody understands that it's a business. But at the same time, the thing that I love about content especially is the fact that we get to showcase things that empower people and give them the desire to actually want to try to do these great things on their own, because they can. Like, we all have been in a position where we sucked. We weren't good. We didn't know anything. It's just we put the time in, and then we learn from people who were better than us. That's really all it is. And so even in the process of, like, you know, like, perfect example, like, what I don't want is, I don't want people to be, there are going to be people who like lose their jobs, or maybe they don't have any extra cash to spend, and so they can't, you know, get anything from Soul Surplus. But I think it's still a responsibility of ours to continue to at least, you know, be a source of inspiration for them for when they get over the hump, when this is all over. And maybe in the meantime, while they can't buy anything, maybe we can impart some wisdom, either through, you know, how we do things or technique or whatever, that they can actually see that there's a lot of things you can actually probably do on your own. You know, don't use us as a crutch. You know what I'm saying? Use us as like more of a stepping off stone, you know, than just like, I'm just going to take what Soul Surplus does and just throw some drums on it. Like, maybe you should learn how to play guitar a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe learn how to play the bass a little bit, or some keys. So, but yeah, but good episode today, guys, man. Felt like we didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense because we still talk to each other all day, every day. So this is
pretty much
natural.
Unfortunately. No,
wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
The other group chat is always lit without Smythe anyway.
Oh,
Yo, nothing's funny than the other group chat.
The other group chat.
You say it to somebody, it's like the pain, yo.
yeah.
ouch.
Smitheless.
The Smitheless chat.
That's the name of the group chat too.
Yeah.
I heard L don't wash his hands and be biting his fingers.
Okay, so you guys are getting a little glimpse into basically how this group operates pretty much every day, all the time. we're only cultured and subdued on the podcast. It's the only time we get to be civilized as a team. And then obviously, as you see, we get to the end and all hell breaks loose before we can even say goodbye.
It's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Nah, but go ahead, John. You was gonna say?
No, I was going to say end it before it goes off the world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, everyone wash your hands. Everybody
Yeah,
wash your hands.
Yeah, everybody, please wash your hands. Cover your mouth with your arm, not your hands. Please stay away from elderly people, please. Like if that's the
I was
only
about to say
thing-
stay away from L.
No. Come on, man.
Somebody
Try to
get
be
Abe, you
serious.
look like you don't wash your hands.
Oh my goodness. But no, but seriously, stay away. You know, like let's give elderly folks some distance because they're the ones that are really, really susceptible to this. And also, your friends that that might be immunocompromised. Like I worry about John because John's got a little asthma thing from when he was a kid. You know what I'm saying? So like worried about that dude all the time. Not gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? Mad worried.
I've been hanging in
you.
there. I've been good, man. The Seattle trip was canned, so
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm chilling.
This dude John was about to go to the hub of coronavirus, and I was like, "You sure
Belly
you
of
want
the
to do
beast.
that?" I was like, "What's wrong with you?"
Faith,
Nah.
no fair, baby.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah, but nah, we appreciate everybody listening in. Most likely we'll probably, because we have a bit more time, man. We might mess around and do 2 episodes a week out this joint. You know what I'm saying? So we getting paid for it. So you know what I'm saying?
I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing because I know Wes. Wes will schedule the meeting, and then it'll come like the day before. But yo, are we still doing the podcast? Wes gonna be like,
I ain't know
Nah,
that.
man. Nah, man, I'm playing Call of Duty. All right. Call of Duty replaced basketball for you. I could tell.
Yeah, thanks to L. Good Lord.
I ain't mean to do it. It just happened like that.
Daggone L. Y'all don't know, but I used to be nasty on Call. Let me end this joint before we keep talking.
Facts.
Appreciate everybody checking in. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
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 All right, later, man.